Find your voice in all you do. Serenity, your space to thrive. Authentic living keeps dreams alive.
Hey, welcome to Serenity Podcast, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Now, I'm in partnership with Prosperity Podcast, who airs on Mondays at 6. So I would say go to YouTube, Facebook, and just subscribe and follow the podcast because it's a space for people with trauma. It's a safe space for people with trauma. So tune in. And I want to thank you for joining me today. I have a very special guest on. Her name is Tiara. Tiara and I went to the same college and graduated together. And I'm so proud of her because our topic today is a salute to mothers. And she is a mother and she holds it down very well. So I want Tiara introduce yourself to the people, tell them about your business or whatever you want them to know about you.
Okay. Well, hi, friend. My name is Tiara Sprave. I am the mother of two incredible children, Prince and Princess. I am an Army veteran. I served over 20 years in the Army. I am a published author of two children's books currently, and I am the owner operator of a small business.
Oh,
That's it.
wow. Wow. What is your small business?
The name of my small business is Design Your Peace, and we provide an array of services from short-term childcare to errands and task assistance and house cleaning services to meal prep services. So it's just a little bit of everything to kind of help take a little bit of the stress away and help people get a little bit closer to whatever peace looks like for them. The name is supposed to be kind of all encompassing since everyone's piece looks a little different. So if I could take something
Yeah.
off of somebody else's plate and make things a little bit more peaceful for them, that's kind of the idea of it. So I have a lot of different families and people individually who take advantage of some of the services just to kind of help take the load off here and there so they can just manage what they've got going on, even better. So that's it,
Hey,
really.
that's great. That is great. Love to hear it. Now, how can they get in touch with you if they need you to provide some peace for them?
So I have a website, and it's Design Your Piece. Or it's DY Piece. DY Piece is the website, and there's a form on there. Quite literally, they can pop in their contact information and what they need, and then we discuss it. So I usually do a telephone consultation for the people who are because I work with people who are not local to me as well. But um, it's usually a telephone consultation, if not meeting with them in person to work with them, depending upon what they're looking for. But typically, most people are either reaching out to me through the phone number that's provided for the business or through the website after they've browsed through and kind of figured out, okay, this is kind of the area I need her to sort of work in, and we figure out if we're a good fit for one another. And if we're not, I absolutely put them in contact with some of the other small businesses that I work alongside that may be a better fit. So um that's pretty much it. So I've been
Okay.
blessed with some awesome clients and great people and other small businesses that do similar services, so it's been pretty great to kind of network in that way. So
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. And you know what? Your books. How can they get your books? You're a published author. What do they need to do?
So the book is available, or both books are available on Amazon, Walmart.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Thrift Books. But Amazon is probably the easiest way to get the books. I started a series and put the books under that series. And since the books are similarly named, I call it the I Love It series. because there's more books with similar naming conventions that are coming under that as well. So I'm going to put them all under the same series on Amazon, so they're easily found on Amazon, but they are available from on other websites as well. So those other ones that I named, they're available there also. So
Okay, so if they
Amazon's
go
the
on,
easiest.
so if they went on Amazon and they typed your name in, your books would come up, or do they need
I
to
think
look
if
by
they
the book name?
I think if they type my name in, the books would come up. I believe if they type in "I Love It" series, the both books will come up. I believe if you put in just one of the names of the books, the other book will come up. So because I've grouped them together, so they should both come up, or the "I Love It" series comes up, which will pop up both books. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, give our listeners the names of the books so that way they'll know what to look for.
Okay. So the first book was "I Don't Like My Name, I Love It." And that one is featuring my son as the main character, and these are true stories. But it's absolutely about, just loving your name, whatever it may be, and not letting the world kind of tear you down based on whatever your name is. I know too many people who hate their names today because some kids or even adults tease them about what their names were. And then the second book is called "I Don't Like My Hair, I Love It." And it's about my daughter. And, we tried to make the stories kind of comical, but they're true stories. And, just embracing her hair. And I mean, I'm sure we can all kind of identify with that in some way. Just loving your hair the way it grows out your head, and how you choose to do it is about how you choose to do it, but just loving yourself. I do think that the world will try to tear you down if given an opportunity. So when we do get a chance to go out and read the stories for people, we try to encourage them to, kind of just love the skin that you're in, the way that you are, and not necessarily compare yourself to the next person and how they're made, because that's okay. It's okay to
Right.
be different, So, um, but yeah, so it's there. Those are the names, but similar naming convention, for a good reason. So.
Yes, yes. Now let's dive into this topic of motherhood because we're doing a
Okay.
salute to mothers. Mothers, we carry a lot of weight. Okay. We carry a lot of weight because, we have the children. Everybody looks to us to raise the children. And it's sad to say sometimes that there are a lot of single mothers. And when you get to single mothers, they're always overloaded because they have the job of the mother, the father, the teacher, the disciplinary, the person that has to go out and make the money to be able to feed and provide for the children. And so that's why it was on my heart to do a show, a salute to mothers. And then to add one more thing to the mother's plate, you were a veteran. So it was not easy being in the military, I'm sure, and raising your kids and then have to get deployed and things like that. I'm sure that wasn't easy. So, how is it for you being a mother who is also somebody that serves her country?
I will say it was very challenging. I'm going to jump to the middle of the story and then jump to the back to the beginning. I was blessed to have my mother live with me for 5.5 years while I served. So I had that incredible help from my mom, who was also a single mother when she was in the Navy. And so she knows oh too well, what it's like to have to be a single parent to two children and to be in the military. But my mother came to live with me while I was a drill sergeant. And so she was with me during that time, and she helped me out during that time with my children tremendously. But I not only was a single mother in the Army, but I'm a single mother that really doesn't like asking for help, which is my own cross to bear, because that pride make things 10 times worse. It was very, very hard. And even with the deployments of it all, that made it so much harder because my children didn't get to be with each other while I was gone. So I'm in a situation where I'm away from my children, and although I'm not in the best of circumstances, my mind is 1,000 miles away because I don't know fully the circumstances my children are in. In my daughter's case, I knew that, she was in great care and she was being, you know, I had, I was able to get in contact with her as much as I needed to and all that good stuff. My son and my daughter have a large, age difference. But in my son's case, and he was with his father, who was also in the army, it was a bit of a different, circumstances. And it's hard, it's challenging. Personally, I don't feel like I'm good at anything other than being a mother personally. Now I know that's not entirely true, but that's how I feel. So I felt like I wasn't operating at full capacity because I didn't really know fully what was going on with my kids. So I didn't feel like I was at my best, you know
Right.
um but I did, I will say, throughout the course of the time that I was in, have different support systems throughout the way, who really showed up more so along in the form of the grandmothers. You know what I'm saying? That was the real, the supporters that came in and put their capes on and was like, I got them. You go do what you got to do. And they were the ones who I would say probably tried to ensure my peace of mind while I did my job, especially in times where I was carrying a lot of guilt for things I wasn't present for because I felt like I was being a bad mother, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And
Mm-hmm.
my mother has reassured me, like, hey, you're missing stuff, but you're not missing it because you're just, you're out here clubbing, or you're out choosing something other than your children. You're working.
Right.
But but it's a void, it's a void that you end up feeling like, yeah, but I'm supposed to know what's going on at the school. I'm supposed to know what's going on with this. And I don't know those things. I don't know those
Right.
things. So it's a lot of guilt. And it's honestly a large part of why I retired when I did, because I was tired of being a part-time mom and a full-time soldier, you
Correct.
know. Um, and a choice needed to be made. And when I came back from Afghanistan, my son regularly kept saying, like, how much longer do you have left? And do you remember that time you were gone for a year? And I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, oh my God,
Mhm.
and I know it's the nature of the beast and we choose it. And I'm sure it's hard for fathers as well, but I'm just like, I don't want to do nothing but be y'all mama. Like, you
Right.
know,
Right. Yeah,
so,
mothers, you know, we have hard choices to make because, like you, I had my first child when I was 19 and, didn't know nothing, just right out of high school, did a semester of college. But what I noticed about mothers, we are resilient. We will get up and get it done. Now, we might not know something, but trust me, we're going to get up and we're going to get it done. Because I know with my daughter, she probably thought, I got the meanest mama in the world. But it wasn't that I was mean. It was being 19. I had put a plan together. I knew at that time when she was born back in 82, you couldn't make any real money during that time unless you had a bachelor's degree, in school so that you could move up and make more money. So with her, my dad told me I was like a drill sergeant in the military because I had to have everything in order. See, I'm one of those kind of people. If it ain't in order, I'm all messed up. So we would get up, have her at um before, what does they call it, before and after school care. She was there at 6 when they opened. I was at work by 6:30. When I got off of work, I would go get her from school, go home and feed her, grab my books, put her in the car with her school work, and we would go to class. She would sit next to me or behind me in college while I'm getting my lecture or doing what I'm doing, having to
mhm,
get, but I'm helping her at the same time with her homework. So when we left the class that I had that night, one or two classes, then we're back home. I'm bathing her, getting her into bed, making sure she's got clean clothes to get up and do it all over again. And people don't realize for single mothers how hard that is. And then especially being in the military, if they deploy you for a year or send you somewhere for 2 years, you have no control over where you go. And then I understand your heart because you're like, oh my God, my son's birthday, my daughter's birthday. Oh, they got an award at school. Oh, they're in a play at school. You're missing it, but your mind is there with them, which they don't see that. All they see is that mommy is gone. But mommy's gone for a reason. A reason. And I think a lot of times the children don't understand our reasoning of why we're doing things, because now as a veteran you have a lot of perks and stuff that you wouldn't have. You have more perks than I do because I didn't serve, but you did. And I want to say thank you to you for serving, because it allowed me to do some things over here and not have to worry about the safety of the country and what's going on, because we have men and women like you that do serve. So I want to make sure that I tell every veteran, thank you. People don't realize how hard you guys have it. And they don't realize that in the United States, a lot of the perks that we have is because of you guys and what you do. So don't ever, ever, ever feel bad about serving your country, because trust me, there's plenty of men and women that do appreciate it. Even though you might not hear it, I know that they appreciate it because I'm one of them. Now,
Oh, thank
tell me,
you.
no problem. Now, tell me about what it means to you to be a mother. What does that mean to you? Because it means something different for everybody.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm honored. I'm honored, first of all, not only that I'm able to be a mother, because it's not lost on me that a lot of women are not able to have children. I think it's a blessing, because I know a lot of women work hard to even, some women are unable to conceive, some men also, of course, but, and I know that, first of all, it's a blessing that I was even able to have my children, and neither of my children, of course, is plain. And it's so funny because they were not a part of the plan, but they were a part of the plan. So, and I, as I sit back, at 40 and I look at my two children, my daughter is 21, my son is 12. I'm like, I'm honored to be their mother, because I think that God gave me exactly what I needed at the time I needed it.
Mhm.
I got pregnant with my daughter at
Mhm.
18. I had her at 19. I got pregnant with my son at 27. I had him at 28. He was born the day after my birthday. So I spent my birthday in labor with him. And I tell him all the time that that was the best birthday I've ever had, because I spent it, bringing him here. I think that it's just such an honor to be their mother, and to know that I'm having an opportunity to pour into someone, and well, two people, but to pour into them, to love them. And I, I don't want to say it this way, but I don't know a better way to say it. But, I would say, unfortunately, like in my childhood, like my father was not present. And I think that
Okay.
I think that that worked as a advantage, for me, toward my children, because I later met my father and I told him my no fail mission is to always be present for my children. And
Mhm.
it's in part because of him being absent. I don't ever want my children
Mhm.
to feel like I won't show up for them, you know and
Right.
so it is my no fail mission to be, present as often as I can be. If I can be the one clapping for you, if I can be the one cheering for you, I want to do that,
Mhm.
because I know what it feels to not have it. But I'm so
Right.
honored
Right.
that I even get to be in a position where I get to be the person that's pouring into them. And I don't want to mishandle them. I don't want to misshape them. I feel like it's just, it's a great honor, even from God, to just, He trusts me with these people, to be able to do something amazing with them before I send them out into the
Right.
world. And even the things that they've spoken into me, because a lot of times, I think people believe that children need their parents, but the parents be needing the kids. In
That's
in all reality, I was self-harming before I had my daughter, and I stopped doing that um during the pregnancy, and chose to stop, I will say, stop self-harming in that way, because I feel like unless you are truly like working through your stuff, you'll find some other way to hurt yourself. So I I moved
right.
on from,
Right.
a type of self-harm to another type, but I've since graduated from all that, but I'm just saying, like, she made me feel like a different like reason to want to be here, and I'm just so honored that like God was like, allowing me to just be her mom. I used to wonder why she loved me so much, or, even at times where I may say something in jest really about myself. I'd be like, oh, you fat. Oh, you this. And my kids would be like, do not talk about my mama like that. And I'm just like, they
Mhm.
will not have anybody saying anything that's sideways about me, including me, and I'm just like,
Right.
why they love me like this? you know?
Well, it,
So,
it's funny. God, God is amazing.
yeah,
He is so amazing. Each person needs to have their own relationship with
right.
him. But when you say, you had your daughter at 18, I mean, were pregnant with her at 18, had her at
Yeah.
19. One thing you said, I believe God blessed me at that age too, because I always say my daughter was my lifesaver. It was the life raft that I needed because I was headed down the wrong road, just like you said. Wrong road, with the wrong people. And when I found out that she was coming and I was pregnant, that slowed me down. That turned my whole thought pattern around and I had to focus. Now I got a little one coming. What am I going to do to provide for this child who cannot provide for herself? So instead of thinking selfishly and doing the things that I want, it helped me to become the woman that I am today. Because then I had to quit thinking selfishly and had to start thinking about her, how I was going to provide for her. And that's when I started to put the plan together, which ultimately changed my life and hers too. And then God blessed me again when I was 30 with my son. So my children are 13 years apart. And, they're wonderful people. They're wonderful people. And to sit back and listen to them and watch them, how much they love and care. Because I'll never forget one day I was outside at when I used to have this townhouse I had purchased. And so when I went out there, me and a neighbor got into it. I don't even know what happened, but he was going off on me. My daughter pulled up, threw her car in park, and jumped out and said, "Excuse me. You do not talk to my mother that way, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself." And she said, "If you want to talk to somebody crazy, talk to me crazy." And I'm looking, I'm like, What just happened? What just happened?" So I understand what you're saying about these our children. I learn from mine every day. I even learn from the grandchildren. So it is amazing. Children are amazing. And like you
Yeah.
said, I appreciate the fact that God allowed me to be a mother. To be a mother. That's just it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, question
Yeah.
for you. I got a question for you. When you were away in the military, did the kids ever ask you why did you join the military or why you were away from them?
Um, yes. So when I deployed to Iraq, my daughter was 3.
Tierra?
Can you hear me?
Okay, she's frozen.
Oh,
Hello?
can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you. Hello?
Tiara.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hello. Oh,
Hello? 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 Hello?
yeah. Okay,
Hello?
you were from there for a minute.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. Can you hear
uh-oh.
me?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I could hear
Now,
you the whole
let
time.
let me ask. Oh, okay. Now, how did the children, when you were gone, did they ever ask why do you have to leave or why do you stay gone?
Yes. So when I went to Iraq, my daughter was 3. And of
Okay.
course she didn't fully understand. She really didn't start asking questions until I had been gone for about 2 months. So
Oh,
that's when
okay.
she like really noticed, like, where is my mom? And so, we were on the phone, talking, and she's trying to figure out like, where are you? Will Santa Claus bring me to you? Like she couldn't, and it's so hard to explain to a 3-year-old where you are or what you're doing, and to also not make it sound too big and too scary, for
Yes.
her. And she just didn't fully understand me not being with her because she was with her grandma and her dad while I was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And even though she was used to visiting with them all the time, um,
Mm-hmm.
she didn't live with them. So I know she was like, hold on now. I've been here for a little bit. So she was probably a little thrown off by that. And with my son, when I went to Afghanistan, he was 3. And
Oh, okay.
so, yeah, so for my son, he was asking his dad to help him find me.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so when I first got over there, he was saying, apparently, like at nighttime, he was saying, can you help me find my mommy? And when his dad told me that, it hurt because again,
Yes.
my son is used to visiting with his dad and spending time with him, but he lives with me. We
Right.
are together every day. So you've thrown me off of what the norm looks like. And then when I came home mid-tour for my R&R, uh, and when I had to give him back to his dad, he was like, "Don't leave me." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Mm-hmm.
I just, I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to go back. I have another 6 months I have to do."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've been gone for 6 months. I missed his birthday. You know, I, I'm just like, and he's just like, "Don't leave me, don't leave me." And he's crying. And I'm just like, but I feel like for the most part, especially for my daughter, she's always understood because
Mm-hmm.
even when I was a drill sergeant, I would bring her to work, like on a family day. I'd bring her to work, stand her in front of the formation. So she kind of grasp a little bit of what is going on and what her mother does and, the level of importance. So she gets it. But unfortunately, my daughter has had to endure more of this than my son has
Yes.
because my daughter has been with me for the whole ride.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so even when I had to go to schools for 60 days and 30 days, I didn't realize how much that was hurting her, even that part, you know. But that was very painful for her too. So I remember going to drill sergeant school, which was about a year after I came back from Iraq. She was crying to me on the phone and she was like, "You're not in Iraq anymore," because our schedule was so slam tight and we were so busy and the school was 60 days. And she's
Mm-hmm.
just like, "You're not in Iraq anymore." And I'm just like, "I'm gonna figure out how to get to you on the weekend. Like, I'm gonna have to figure it out because she's crying her face off. And me being gone for another 60 days is hurting her. It's hurting me too,
Right.
but I'm just like,
Right.
I've kind of learned to suck up things. Like I missed my daughter's first birthday because I had to go away to a school. Like I've missed all these very important things because of the military. And I'm just like, I'm not really okay with missing anything else. And I've had
Mhm.
people tell me, like, you get time back, which is not true. I don't even know where that
Right.
comes from. I've had somebody tell me that, like, do your time, your family will be there when you get done. That's not true. They may
No,
not be.
correct. Correct. Yeah, I don't even know where that came from or how they
I
could
don't
even
either.
fathom that.
I
Yeah,
don't either.
because when they're little, when they're babies, there's special times with them when they're babies, and then seeing them take their first steps, seeing them crawl, seeing them do all these things, you can't get those things back.
You cannot. You don't get that stuff back. That is the worst. That is probably the worst piece of advice anyone has ever offered me. And I'm going to say unsolicited advice because
Right.
who asked you to tell me that? You know,
Exactly.
to just tell me, just basically suck it up, you get time back. Because before every reenlistment I considered getting out. I was like, oh yeah, I'm done with this, I would do
Hmm.
anything else but
Hmm.
this. And of course every single time I reenlisted, because I was not supposed to get out, and I truly do believe that my career was blessed. And it's
Hmm.
so funny how protective I am of my service now. I'm so much more protective of my service now and the service of other service members than I was when I was in, which is kind of strange to me. But um I just you don't get time back. I'm just
No, you don't.
grateful that I'm very close with my daughter. She is still letting me be her mother. I mean, she's 21 and she still
Hmm.
has a lot to learn, but
Hmm.
I have a respect for her as a young adult. So I tell people often, of course, I'm still her mother, but I
Hmm.
said I'm more in an advisor role than anything,
Hmm.
because she is a young person figuring out her way, and I
Yes.
love that for her. But she don't need me to steer for her. But she does ask my advice, which I'm honored that she asked my advice, because it means that she respects my opinion and
Yes.
the advice that I have to offer. And she's still allowing me to speak into her life and to do things like
Hmm.
that. And so that is to me an honor. And we're still super, super close. And I love that. I love that, because she could have resented the fact that you have missed things. You weren't there for
Right.
this. You weren't there for that.
Right.
And I don't care if it's because you was deployed or at work. So,
Right, right.
you
And
know,
there are I'm going through that with my daughter because she doesn't realize that at 19 when I had her, I was really still a child myself. You know, having a
right.
child that I had to raise, having to go to work, 10 and 12 hours a day, plus go to school. So I had really three jobs, three
Yeah.
jobs. And I don't think she understands that. And she thinks sometimes that I like her brother more than her, and that's not it. At the time my son came along, I was a little bit more stable, making more money. So it allowed me to have a little bit more freedom than
Yeah.
having to, stay on a strict schedule. And so, and like I tell her, no, I love both of my kids equally. They are different people now. One's a boy, one's a girl. Their thought patterns are different. But at the end of the day, I love them both. There's nothing that I would do more one for the other, more for
Right.
one than the other. Not at all. Not at all. You just have to, I think, with our children is talk to them, explain to them where you were and how things were, but it's ultimately up to them to decide,
Yeah.
what they want to do. And, we're blessed to still have our children, and I have grandchildren, and to
Mhm.
be able to still pour into them, still talk to them, still, pray for them. Because I know now there was a saying that I used to hear my grandmother say when I was younger about how she prays, for the family all the time. Now I understand her praying and the blessings, from our ancestors of how they prayed for us and did different things. And so now I do the same thing for my children. And as parents, we have to let each child walk their path. Their path is
Right.
not going to be the same as ours, it's going to be different. So we have to
Yeah.
allow them to walk that path, but be there to guide them, give them advice when they ask for it or need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I have to remind my daughter of that too, that hey, I was 19 when I had you. I did not know what I was doing. I was
Mm-hmm.
figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I had your brother 9 years later, I was a little more mature.
Mm-hmm.
We wasn't quite as broke.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
things were a little bit better. But anything that he has received in me as a mother at that point, so did you.
Exactly.
And so you have seen me at just different stages than your brother has. He doesn't know what 19-year-old mommy looks like because 19-year-old mommy, in hindsight, was a scared child trying to make it happen. That I mean, again, at 40, I look back and I go, I had to have been terrified because I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I could not admit to anybody I didn't know what I was doing. I had to
Right.
figure it out.
Yeah.
And when I think about it now, I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing.
You were
I had
like
to,
we were figuring it out on the run.
yeah, I'm like, I had to have been terrified. I know I was broke, and I'm just like, I don't know. And I also ended up with custody of my nephew for a short period of time. So I'm like,
Mhm.
huh. And I was still new. I was new to the military. When I tell
Mhm.
you I do not have a sense of direction to this day, I don't have no sense of direction. And I'm habitually late, which is two very bad things for being a service member. And I was like,
Yeah.
so I don't know how. I mean, I told someone this the other day. I don't know how I survived over 20 years in the Army without a sense of direction and by being habitually late. But God has obviously had his hand on my career because, especially my last 3 years, where I'm the one who is supposed to be standing in front of the formation, you can't be rolling up late to your formation. It's your formation. How you gonna be
Right.
late?
Right.
So I'm like, God has obviously, can't nobody tell me with their mouth that God is not real because I have done
Right.
plenty to screw things up. And yet and still he's allowed things to like
Just
not.
work stuff out. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I be tearing stuff up.
Yeah,
So
he covers us. He covers us because he knows us as his children because he made us, and he goes, that child needs some help. That's why he sent Jesus.
uh-huh.
That child, she
All
needs
the
some help.
help.
Let me get her
All
some
the
help.
help.
Sending the Holy Spirit so they can help this child out, and that's what he did. Because I look back and I like the footprints. The footprints where it says I look down and look back and at my footprints, and when I look down now I see two sets when I thought I was walking along, but it was actually God walking right beside us. And actually, when you see the one, you see two, and then you see one, then you see two. That one set of footprints, God was carrying you then through until you were able to walk. And so,
Right.
I thank God every day for my children, my grandchildren, and just allowing me to walk that path to learn because life is a learning experience and you have choices, good or bad. And what I tell people is if you look at where you sit in life right now, it's a direct reflection of the decisions that you made, whether they're good or bad. Your decisions is what got you to where you are right now. And I am so proud of you. And I thank God that we met, in college and at graduation. And I was looking at the pictures the other day of us down there posing with our caps and gowns on. We were so proud of that day. But then to see you on LinkedIn and you're a published author, this big old smile just came over my face. I said, look at her. Go, girl, you go. And, I'm just happy because you're continuing on in your life. Now you're at a different phase and a new journey. Now you're the author and still the mother, and you're taking the children on the journey with you. Now, how awesome can that be? How many people can even say that?
You know what? I would say this. God is good
Yeah.
because it's so funny that things that you never even imagined for yourself, God had already knew was going to take place for you. So I just, even being able to retire, that's a blessing because
Yeah.
I, I, I have done plenty to not even have been able to make it to retirement. So that's a blessing. And like you said, looking back on our pictures, we was taking pictures together like we had known each other for a few years already. So
Exactly.
that's the funny part
Exactly.
is we was acting like we knew each other already. And I didn't even know at the time how much we had in common, especially with our children and all that stuff. That's so interesting to me that I didn't realize how much that we even had, because we didn't even talk about that stuff there. None of that happened there.
No, we did.
So which is pretty incredible. But I will say this, and this is another, I guess, goes back to your other question about, about being a mother. My
Mm-hmm.
children have, um, my children have, for a lot of people, I will say this: their children do not change nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Their children don't cause them to hit another gear that they didn't
Mm-hmm.
know they had. They kids don't change nothing. It's still gonna be status quo, and to each their own. God knows, like you said, his children individually and what it's gonna take for this one to do what they gotta do and that one. And I think for me, even though I knew personally at the time when I became pregnant that I was not in the best place with my own self-esteem and how I loved or liked myself or any of those things, I thank God what he knows about me is I'm tenderhearted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want nobody else to suffer because of me.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I had tried to, I want to say, pay people back for the wrong that was done to me,
Mm-hmm.
my conviction would make me feel bad because I'm just like it.
Yeah.
I'm not even set up like that. But when it
Right.
comes to an innocent child who depends on you, they
Mm-hmm.
should not have to suffer because I can't figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right. Right.
I can't get it together. So whether that be at 19, you magically somebody's mama, you better figure it out. And it's so funny because even some of the conversations I was having at myself during that time, some of my self-talk was not good. I will say that now. I can say it now in hindsight. I couldn't say it then, of course, but I I will say my children are God, and my children, of course, definitely the reason why the career was even able to make it to the 20-year mark, because the one thing the Army did for me is give me a voice. And so when I would meet challenging situations where I wanted to put people in their place respectfully, I don't care nothing about this uniform. You're not going to talk to me like that, which is something I would not have done pre-Army. But
Mm-hmm.
once I joined the Army and I figured out who I was, I knew I wasn't about to be nobody doormat.
Right.
My children, who are a constant, I'm like a beacon would be like, we're not about to lose everything we have worked for because you want to cuss this man out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not about to lose everything that you've worked for because you want to put this woman in her place. It's
Mm-hmm.
not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. There's a better way.
Yes.
You have to figure out a better way, and it's not going to be because you decided to tap into your Bonquisha Jenkins for a moment and you want to put somebody in their place, because you want to feel better about being
Right.
wrong. Think
Right.
about us and what we stand to lose because you want to cuss somebody out because you need to feel better in the moment. And it's
Eh,
so funny because my children are the reason why we even were able to make it as far as we made it. I used to
mm,
tell my soldiers when I was a drill sergeant, I said, you guys are lucky that I get to go home to my daughter every night. I said, because
mhm,
if I didn't have her, I'd be worse. And it's so funny because I will say this, a lot of people meet me and they're like, oh, you're too nice to have been a drill sergeant. It is funny who you can become based on
mhm,
the situation.
mhm.
So I think that I was many different things as a drill sergeant, but
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
I'm like, let me tell y'all something. I'd be much worse if I wasn't going home to that little girl because she's keeping a certain part of me intact.
Mhm.
She's
Mhm.
she's keeping a certain part of me like still warm and still soft. Now it ain't here
Yes.
with
Yeah.
y'all when I show up at work, but but I guess because I know I get to go home to her,
Mhm.
it's allowing me to be human still because I was on
Yeah.
something else. And unfortunately there were many nights that my daughter would fall asleep crying at my door and my mother would have to walk her away when I was a drill sergeant because I would leave when it was dark and come home when it was dark. And
Yeah.
the only time me and my daughter could spend together sometimes would just be sleeping together at night.
Mhm.
And I'm a light sleeper, but when I'm sleeping so hard that I can't hear my daughter banging on the door, you know,
Right.
My mom would be like, I had to walk her away from the door last night because she was knocking and you couldn't hear her and she was crying at the door. And I'm just like,
Yeah. Yeah. These little people, they have a way of touching your heart in such a way that it just warms you, and it melts away whatever hardness that you have on you. Because I would look at my daughter at night sleep, I go check her in her bed, kiss her, she sleeps, she don't even know I'm there, because I'm up praying and walking the house at night. And I said, I got to do better, I got to do better. And me doing better was getting an education. But then my father, when I look at my dad, he was an entrepreneur. So that's where I got the spirit from, as an entrepreneur. And so I used to tell the kids, I said, I'm going to stay put. I'm going to make sure that you have everything that you need. I said, but once I know you guys are stable, I said, you watch. I'm going to show you how to soar. And I said, you're going to turn on the TV one day and there's going to be your mother, and I'm going to be doing some things. And so, um, I surprised my children a lot, because I started just last year Divine Favor Body Bar, because I'm a licensed esthetician. They were shocked when I went to school to get my esthetician license. I was like, Mommy, you back in school? Like, they knew I had graduated. Yes, I am. So now I just started my company, Divine Favor Body Bar. Well, it's really Divine Favor Enterprises, because I knew I was going to branch off in several different ways. And one
Mhm.
of them is making natural organic body butters and sugar scrubs. And because I have a passion for the skincare industry, I always have. And I wanted to do a facial line. And I said, no, it's too many facial things out there. So I started thinking about the body, and that's how that developed. Well, then my son comes to me because he's got a beard and a mustache now, and he has locks. Well, Mom, and then Destiny, my niece. Well, what about my locks? What about them? Well, we need something for that. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I had to go back to the drawing board. Now I have braid and lock oil, and then even did a beard oil and a beard balm. But look, it came from the kids and the nieces and nephews. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? And then when I would go into the store, just like, for example, let's say you're going to run in Walmart or CVS or something and grab something and come out. You're trying to get in quick and come out. People were stopping me. Well, have you ever used this on your face? Well, have you ever used this on your skin? And I'm looking like, I'm not wearing the sign. I have on regular clothes, nothing that says anything. And so I looked up at heaven and I said, okay, Lord, you're trying to tell me something. I'm listening now. Because sometimes I think we get so busy that we don't hear the Holy Spirit talking to us, and God trying to clue us in different directions, for different things. And so that's why when
Mhm.
I thought looking at LinkedIn and saying you were an author, I was like, what? Get out of here. I am so proud of her. But it takes, I think, sometimes our kids to help us in certain areas. And I don't think
Oh, yeah.
sometimes people realize how important the little people are in the things that they say and the things that they do. Because what you just said is how your daughter shakes. She's like, "Hey, look here, we're not losing our stuff because you want to get crazy. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
we're not doing that." And that would when I heard you say that, I was sitting here thinking and smiling to myself. I said, "Boy, yes, them little people. I love them. I love them." Because even my
Yeah, they
my granddaughter will say stuff to me, and I'm looking at her like, "What? Wait a minute, let grandma calm down. What you say?"
yeah.
Yeah,
It's so true. It's like stay the course, or find another way, because it's a setup for you to lose everything sometimes. So it's kind of like, don't fall into
yeah,
these traps, because
yeah.
you're well on your way. And if something can derail you, it will. You doing good. Don't let this person over here, that person over there be what takes you off this path you on. You about to cuss
Right.
everybody in the room out because of something minuscule and lose everything. Think about it.
Yes.
Think about it. And I'm
Yes.
just like,
You know,
no.
and what people don't realize about mothers, they go through a lot to provide and raise their families. And everything we do is not always comfortable, it's not always enjoyable. And because I can remember many days getting up, taking my child to a babysitter, trying to be happy like things are okay. And then when I leave, I'm crying in the car, on the bus, and praying, Lord, please take care of my child. Don't let nobody mistreat my child. Don't let nobody abuse my child. And, I thank God where I got to a point where they had the before and after school care, but still the same thing there, because those
Yeah.
people, could be teachers, good teachers, bad teachers. You just never know. You never know. So women go through a lot as a mother. We wear a lot of different hats, and a lot of times, we're the last on our list. And it seems like you're taking care of everybody else and you never get to yourself. You never. We're always on the back burner, always. But I thank God that He's brought us through those
Yeah.
times. And we're at a point in our life right now where things are great. Things are great. The kids are grown, but we still have a relationship with the children. We're able to talk to them, do things with them, and spend time with them that we never thought we would have that time. Because did you think ever when you were in the military that you were going to get a chance to be with the children, to be there for the birthdays, to be there for whatever was going on with them? Did you think it was ever going to come to an end?
It was really hard to see it, it was really, really, really hard to see it because I guess the negative side to being in the military is even when you're ready to retire, they get to say no.
Oh,
so
wow. I didn't know that.
so
Okay, that's new. I didn't
so
know that.
so that's, that was kind of the scary part was, okay, when I am at the gate where I'm like, hey, guys, I've had enough. I'm actually ready to go. At the time that I was preparing to retire, they were disapproving retirement. And what they
Wow.
do is they say, hey, resubmit in 12 months. No, no. So that's the other, I guess, I'm going to say downside to service. And I'm saying downside because I mean, you're ready to go, but on a positive note, it ain't like you're not getting paid while you still there. It's just that you have to now wait an additional year, potentially longer than you wanted to. But in that year, they can still say no when you submit again. So that's the part that I don't love, is that you could be at your 20 years of service and you could say, hey, I'm ready to go. And they could say, hey, thank you for submitting. Go ahead and submit again in 12 months. And we'll let you know. Because
Oh, wow. I that. So then now your brain is going through trauma because you're ready to go, but you have to kind of reset your mind to say, okay, I got to do another 12 months.
right. And that additional 12 months could mean a PCS move. It can mean a deployment. It could mean something else that makes it so that you can't actually separate in 12 months. Or you can't even it's all a numbers game, and it's all this thing where if they move you again and you're at a certain location, you may have to be on station for a certain amount of time before you're even able to submit. It all ends up being this whole big thing. And so I know for me, when I was supposed to be separating, um, I was also being considered for another promotion,
Mm.
which oddly enough, when I was a drill sergeant, I wanted to be in the Army for 35 years. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was eating and breathing and all of that Army. I was Army, Army, Army all day long. I had friends in the Army that was telling me I was too military. I was like, I don't even understand what that means.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so amazing how your desires can change. And so
Yeah.
my desires went from that to, I want to be with my children. I want to be here and present and raising my children. I don't ever want to leave my kids again and have my children separated. I want to be here. So when it was time for me to submit, quite literally, they were back to disapproving retirements. And I have quite a few battle buddies and friends who had their retirements disapproved. And my branch manager told me, like, hey, if you're still planning to retire, you might want to submit because we're starting to disapprove. Well, I never even had to submit my paperwork for retirement. I ended up medically retiring
Mm.
because I have a lot of injuries and I have had a lot of surgeries. I'm at 12 surgeries and I've only been out of the army for 2.5 years. I've had 4 surgeries since I've retired.
Wow.
And but I had enough substantial medical stuff that was still causing me a lot of issues. I was able to medically retire. And the beauty of that is that big army does not get to say yay or nay to disapprove that because I'm medically unfit. And it's so funny because you can look at a person and say, well, they look fine. Yeah, but
Right.
I have a lot of things that's keeping me from being able to serve the way you need a soldier to serve. So you want a
Correct.
piece of a soldier or you want a whole soldier?
Right.
So I'm just like, it's so funny because even during that time, I promised God was like, I told you you was separating. So you can believe what they're telling you or believe what I said. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
So,
And I
and I
don't think
mean, that's how it went. So,
right. Right. And I don't think people understand also the mental changes that mothers go through. We go through a lot of mental changes, you know, with trying to raise the children, but also with self-help and self-care for us. There's a lot of mental changes. So that's why I wanted to talk about, today being a mother and salute the mothers because without the mothers, I don't know where this country would be or where the kids would be. I really don't. And I would hate to think about it, but we do a lot. We do a lot. And so I again want to say thank you to you because I enjoy talking to you and then seeing how our stories parallel. That
very much
was
so.
just amazing to hear how I'm like, what? It's like I had a little sister going through the same thing that I was going through, just in a different state, or maybe a different time. But that,
Yeah.
you're an awesome person. That's all I can say. And I would tell the audience that's listening, please get her books and, follow
Oh,
her on LinkedIn. Because are you on Instagram or Facebook?
I'm on Instagram now. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on LinkedIn. Of course, I be posting my little heart away on
Right.
LinkedIn.
Right.
But yeah, I'm on there now. My daughter be having to help me on Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing,
Girl, don't feel
but
bad.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm
Me
trying.
too.
But
Me too.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
so funny because I'm really not a social media type of person. So when I feel like I have
Me
had
either.
enough, I
Hmm.
politely deactivate and walk away, but I've been trying to, instead of doing that, just go like, hey, maybe you just don't mess around with it today because it'd be too much interaction. And I very much enjoy not doing all of that. You know what I'm
I
saying?
get-
I'm a,
I
you
get it. I get and trust me,
know,
I really do. Cause I was like yourself, like God told you it was time to retire. And then for me, I haven't retired yet, but I'm getting the feeling. I said, okay, Lord, you trying to tell me to get ready. You trying to get ready because it's coming. Because the same desire and tenacity that I had for the work, it's gone. It's shifted. So that lets me know there's a change getting ready to take place. And you know what? Quite honestly, I'm ready for the change. If he was to say, well, tomorrow I need you to go to work and turn in all your equipment, I told him I'd be probably running past people, run off and leave the car sitting in the garage, grab the equipment, and I'm running down the street. And
yeah.
that's
Here
just
you
how
go.
comfortable that's just how comfortable I have gotten in my relationship
Yeah.
with God so that I'm listening. And I know if he tells me to do something, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I don't even have to worry. So I would encourage our listeners to get a relationship with God and to find out what it is that he wants you to do. Because
Yeah. Get
sometimes
your
we
own
do
thing.
things, yeah, sometimes we do things that because this is what will make ends meet, but that's not exactly what God wants us to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And with that, with what you just said, like it is a relationship. It is truly your own thing. And you can't have a relationship piggybacking off of your mama's relationship or your dad's relationship. There's a lot of people that's like, well, I was raised in the church. What that mean?
Yeah, what
You
what does
know,
that mean?
It's a lot of people that go to church every Sunday, and what does that mean? Are you
Correct.
trying to store up heaven credit? Because that's not how that works. So, I mean, it is truly a relationship, and you know what I mean. It ain't got to be perfect. It's yours. It's your relationship. It's
Exactly.
something you work on. You build. You know, you gotta. That it's supposed to be yours. It's supposed to be
Exactly.
yours. So my
And that's
relationship
where
don't
you
have to
get
look like
your guidance.
yours.
No, and
Yeah.
that's where you get your guidance. So I would tell anybody to tune in because, with the relationship with God, because mothering is not easy. You wear so many different hats, and it seems like there's nobody there for mom that she can lean on. But I tell you what, if you have a relationship with God, you can totally lean on him, lay on him, whatever, and he's got you. No matter where you're at, he's got you.
Yeah.
Everything will work out for your good if you just let him have it. Just to say, okay, Lord, I can't do this no more. Let me give you everything. Tell me what to do and follow
Yeah.
what he's telling you. It will work out. But Tiara, thank you so much for spending time with me, doing this podcast, talking about being a mother and also being a veteran that's a mother. I really,
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's
No
always
problem.
good to see you and talk to you.
Yes, yes. And we're going to stay in touch more, even if it's through text or pick up the phone one day and say, hey, what are you doing? Oh, okay. Well, I just had to call and
Yeah,
say
that's right. And I need to get some oils from you and stuff. I need to get with you so I can find out how I get all that stuff. I need some
I tell
for
you
me
what,
and all mine. You know, we all got locks around here. So, you
that's
know.
okay. I tell you what, send me your address. Text me your address. I'll make it happen for you. I promise. I'll make it happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, baby. I love you and thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Love you too. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
No
All
problem.
right.
We're out, guys.
All right.